Morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Live at the Zoo. And I'm an educator here at the Detroit Zoo. Today, we are going to be talking to Tammy, who is an associate curator of mammals here at the Detroit Zoo. Today, we are going to be talking about one of North America's most majestic mammals, the American bison. So make sure to add your questions to the comment section and we will answer. So let me turn it over to my colleague, Brad.
Awesome. Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, before we get some questions over to Tammy, I'm going to give us a little bit of background on these guys, and let me actually spotlight them so we can see them a little bit closer. Yeah, like Thomas said, super majestic mammal, right? Actually, the national mammal of the United States of America, very important to just North America in general. Largest living mammal in North America. They can weigh over 1,000 pounds. You know, that shoulder hump can be up by like 6 feet. They're over 10 feet long, really, really large. But the other cool thing I like to always share with people is even though they're really large and they look pretty, docile, they can run really quickly too, right? So don't let their size fool you. If you ever see one in the wild, don't approach them. They're very large and they can run very fast, up to like 35 miles per hour. And we might share a little bit more about it later, but they have a pretty interesting history here in the United States. Their numbers used to be really large, millions, like they maybe estimated up into like 60 million of them used to live in the wild in a very large historic range. And at one point in the late 1800s, their numbers dropped to under like 1,000 individuals and have since increased again. So they have a very interesting story. So I will turn it over to Tammy and we'll learn a little bit more about the bison who call the Detroit Zoo home. So thank you, Tammy, for joining us today.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here, Brad.
So quick question, how many bison live at the Detroit Zoo and do they have distinct personalities?
Yes, we have 2 bison, which you can see in the frame. There's the females are kind of lower down there. There's the male walking away. They are both about 15 years old. They've been at the zoo for quite some time, since 2008. And their names are Dakota and Tatonka. So we call them affectionately Coda and Tonks. So you can see there's the male there on the left. And Coda is a very large, as you can see, they do have a little bit of a difference in size. I mean, if you see them close together, you can note that he's bigger, but they're both large and they're both absolutely beautiful. Right now, they are having a great morning because Sarah, their zookeeper, is giving them some treats. They're grazing, they're relaxing. This is a beautiful day for them because it's mild. It's not, super hot with lots of flies and bugs and things. And they are very hardy. They can take a lot of different temperatures and variables. So, oh, look at that cutie right there. Look how small that horn is on the side. Aren't they so cute?
Yeah,
I feel like bison, I feel like people love the tigers, the giraffes, but the bison, these are like, I think these are the giraffes in North America, right? They're awesome. They're big, they're cute.
They are. And any day that you come to the zoo as a guest and you're walking around our grounds, you're going to be able to see these guys. It doesn't matter if it is a snowstorm, if it's raining, if it's any day of the year, you can come and they are going to be having a great day. They're going to be out and about doing their thing, and they're large, so they're visible and they're a great animal to come out and take a peek at.
Awesome. So yeah, they are really large, but you can see them kind of here. You said they're eating some treats. I know that they're herbivores. They eat a lot of grass. To be that large, how much can they eat in a day, right? I'm assuming they have to eat a lot to maintain.
They do, yes. They get a grain called wild herbivore, which is a special formulated grain for large animals like this. So they get between 4 and 9 pounds, depending on their size, of grain a day, plus lots of hay, and then they get produce. And by produce, we mean a lot of vegetables, apples, sweet potatoes, carrots that are cut in large pieces, and they really like that. That's kind of what they get for treats. And we also give them what we call browse, which simply means cut branches with leaves on it and bark that they can chew on. And that could even mean like a Christmas tree, a recycled Christmas tree that they could, Sarah can hang them up in the trees and they'll ram their heads on them and scratch their skin. And they just really like those too. So but they mostly like to just kind of graze and eat slowly. They'll eat a lot of hay, and they just kind of spend their days relaxing and enjoying themselves.
It's a nice life, right?
It is. It sure
Get
is.
to relax, just lay back and eat. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, eat
So
all
another,
day and hang out.
another thing I hear a lot is we'll use bison and buffalo interchangeably, right? So Tammy, can you talk a little bit about that? These are bison. So what is the difference between a bison and a buffalo, right? Are they the same? Can we call these guys buffalo?
You kind of hear people say that, and it's okay to say that. I mean, these are bison, American bison, but typically a buffalo is going to be an African animal, a Cape buffalo or a water buffalo, and a bison is what you see here. So while you hear children say it, and it's okay, it's kind of understood to interchange them, but technically in a scientific term, a buffalo is from Africa, and these are bison, and they live here in North America.
And then how are bison beneficial to the environment? Do
They have, if you look at them walking around, their hooves are really large. They're large, right? So their hooves kind of dig into the soil. They aerate the soil, which is good. They also eat a lot of grasses, and they select those grasses. So other plants and wildflowers and things, when those grasses are gone, which are they spread a lot and they kind of overtake things, those beneficial prairie plants, they can grow up through the grasses once the bison graze. They also like to wallow. So when they're laying on their side and they're kind of digging in mud, or they're creating wallows or dust baths, those depressions in the plains areas can help with certain plants and animals that need a depressed area in the plains. So that's cool too. So they can make those depressed areas, and then certain plants, animals, and bugs even can live in those depressed areas.
wow. So yeah, those little things you don't think about, right? Or I guess those big things.
Exactly. They also disperse native seeds too. Their droppings, they can take those seeds that they've eaten and disperse them. So there's beautiful wildflowers and things that are there because of bison droppings. So it seems kind of, weird, but beautiful flowers grow out of those droppings, which is really cool.
Oh, see, thank you, Dakota and Tatanka.
Yeah, right? For sure.
Do you have any favorite memories about the bison here, or even like a fun fact about bison that you really want to share with our
I
viewers?
do. I have a couple. One of them is a little silly, but it's hard for a visitor to see this, but when we get close to the bison and we hand them a treat or two, they have the most beautiful white, perfect teeth of any animal. They are just stunningly bright white teeth, and they're all perfectly in a row. And it's just amazing that they're so big and they have this pearly whites that just make me smile and make me laugh. They also like to do zoomies. So those of you that have pets at home, that your dog might just kind of go wild and run around the house really fast. Sometimes we have bison zoomies here at the zoo. So they might get, just be kind of spunky one morning, and you'll see them just running around and kicking up their back legs and skidding out. And it is hysterical. And it's a very fun thing to see. And it just makes you realize that they're having a ball and they're enjoying the day. That's one of my favorite things. And when I see it, I look around to see who else is around, and I'm like, come over here. The bison are doing zoomies. One day they were doing that, and the vet was nearby, and she ran over and took some pictures, and she was so happy because they are big. But like you said, Brad, they are quick. They can jump, they can swim, they can turn on a dime. They are agile animals.
Yeah, surprisingly, right? Surprisingly nimble. Yeah, I've seen those zoomies before, and it is like, it's very impressive.
It's adorable.
And it's fun. Yeah.
They also, in the winter, they'll get big snowballs hanging from those impressive beards, which I think is adorable too. And I'll take pictures of that because they kind of just sit around, and then they get these little sort of dingly balls of snow on their beard, and it's really cute.
Aw. See, there's another promotion. Come at the zoo, see them play in the snow.
Yes.
Maybe with some old pine trees. Yeah, it's
sure.
a fun time. They're always happy. Like you said, winter, they'll be out.
Yes.
They'll be out running around.
They're insulated. You'll see a couple inches of snow just resting on their back that doesn't melt. And when you see that with the wolves or the bison, that means that their body is so insulated that all that warmth isn't melting that snow, that hair sticks up away from their skin and is keeping it in insulation, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that is really impressive.
Looks like one of them is spreading the seeds.
There you go. You saw it in real life. There you go.
There you go. All right, so we do have a question. So Lori asked, have they ever made it?
Actually, no, the male is castrated and we aren't breeding them now. It doesn't mean that we'll never be in a breeding situation here at the zoo. That is possible. As you can see, their habitat is very large and it's a beautiful place in the zoo to see. I mean, they have so much space to roam around. So maybe in the future, but right now, these two are not capable of breeding.
Oh, so I know we talked about the difference between bison and buffalo, but how many types of bison are there in the world?
There's a couple ranchers and people that keep bison or people that are really bison aficionados, which there are many. There's an American Association of bison lovers out there that you can join if you want to. So that's really cool. But they kind of note there's a wood bison and a plains bison, and they look a little different. The hump on the wood bison is a little more forward. They have long, shaggy hair that's kind of covers their head. It's not tight and curly. If you look at these guys, they have really curly hair on that top of their heads that kind of is a little tight and it doesn't kind of hang over their eyes. A wood bison would have more of a shaggy kind of a loose hair that is really, really long. But that's really, they're both American bison. It's just kind of a type or a region that they live in. Those woods bison live way more north, and these bison would live more south in Yellowstone and places like that, which isn't really south, but it's more south than the wood bison.
Well, Brad touched on the fact that there used to be millions and millions of bison. So what is their conservation story?
What happened was there were so few, but there were people that cared a lot. And that is what matters. Honestly, when you have people that care about animals, kids who come to the zoo right now and they see these bison and they want to make sure that we all see bison and our kids see bison. And that's what happened back, in the early 1900s and a little after, when even Teddy Roosevelt, he decided that he would like to round bison up, to have a captive breeding program. They were saved through a combined effort of conservationists, scientists, and honestly, the general public who loved them and cared about them. And they were bred and cared for and protected. And now look, there are bison in all 50 states, whether they're in a ranch or whether they're just, in a zoo, or like here at the Detroit Zoo, there's bison in Michigan, right? And it's just a wonderful story that everyone can enjoy these animals and come see them and how beautiful they are and what they symbolize, which is perseverance and, and strength, which is really cool.
Oh, another question. Do they have good eyesight, vision?
Actually, no, they don't really need good eyesight. They kind of graze and hang around and kind of look around from left to right and eat grasses, but they have a very good sense of hearing and smell. So that's very good for them. They aren't really a prey animal. So they aren't going to need to, fight for their lives all the time. They kind of are big and they can be at ease and kind of just graze. Now humans hunted them, but they kind of have a good gig. They can kind of just hang around and feel safe, but they do need to smell for the things they eat, and they do need to hear so they can protect their families. They live in huge herds and they have little ones. They're little orange calves, which are born bright, fiery orange, and they're just adorable. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. So that's really neat. And they kind of just use their, oh, look, maybe he's going to roll around. It's going to be adorable. Or he might just sit. Look at that. Graceful as he can be, right?
That was, right?
Landed in
He's
perfect.
like, I'm just going to rest now. What a cutie. Oh, that's awesome.
So another question is, so do they make noise?
Yes, they do. They snort, which you can imagine. Look at that big nose there, right? He's kind of cleaning his nose out, which is impressive. But they snort. Sometimes they make little chuffing sounds. It's kind of more like, I guess snort is the best way to describe it, or like a rumbling sound. But generally they're quiet. You might hear them mostly when I hear them, it's because they're running around. And when they're running, it is a thunderous type of sound. You can kind of hear them, their bodies running around, but they're pretty quiet for the most part. They do shed their fur as well. So you might see little birds around at this time of year where all of their winter fur is kind of coming off, and little birds will take that fur, and it's a great prize for them, and they might take it and use it for nest building. And Sarah will help too. If she sees, when she's got them in the back and they do training or treats, Sarah can get some of that off too, because it comes off in pretty big pieces and kind of like in sheets sometimes.
That's, see, one more benefit to the environment. Birds are
Yeah, little bird nests, exactly.
getting a little extra insulation on the nest.
Yeah,
Very
there you
awesome.
go.
All right, was that it, Thomas? Any other questions, or was?
Nope, I think that is all of our questions for today. Amy, for her very informative.
You're welcome. I'm glad you guys asked me to talk about them because they are amazing and beautiful. And just look at his little face. Look at that. What a cool guy.
Yeah, I'm about to join the Bison, the National Bison
I don't
Lover
I didn't
Association.
exactly say it right, but yeah, it's a group of people and they have meetings and talk about bison and they love them very much and care about them and want to make sure that they're around for forever for us to enjoy.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Tammy, and thank you everyone for tuning in and sharing some questions.
You're welcome. You guys have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
So,
Bye.
bye.